Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A happy Saturday to you all. Hopefully, your weekends are off to a great start. Or if you're watching this at any other point in the week, hopefully having a great day. Nonetheless, it is Saturday, and that means one thing, and one thing only here on the LT K-pop channel. Welcome to the newest episode of OST Saturdays, episode 22. Technically, it should be season 2, episode 22. And this is actually kind of a milestone episode for me because this is the final catch-up OSC Saturday that I have to do now, which it makes my life so much easier because I don't have to keep jumping back and forth between Google documents and stuff like that. But essentially, as soon as we started the whole channel back up again in April this year, because I missed January through March in its entirety, we've been covering chunks of OSCs that are released during those 3 months week by week and just slowly whittling away at the list. These 4 we're covering today are like the final 4 from the very end of March of this year. And ever since April, we've been keeping up to date. So unless something happens where we have to reschedule some things, move things around, or unless we have like a metric butt ton of OSTs that drop on 1 week, this will be the last week we have multiple uploads for OST Saturday. So let's finish the catch-up strong, shall we? We have 4 lovely artists to check out today. We get to check back in with Crush once again. Admittedly, this is from in the past. Last week we had Crush on as like that week's amount of content. Mr. Seok Hoon, who musically I don't think I've heard since there may have been an OST in somewhere in 2023, but last proper memory I have him on the channel is the C9 Christmas song, C9 Entertainment's Christmas song from 2 years ago. Jumping back on board with aespa for an OST that they did in March. I don't know how that's going to go over, considering it's a children's show, and those are usually really sketchy in terms of copyright. And then finally, one final artist, Mr. Hong Isak, or Isaac Hong. Superband viewers will know exactly who he is, and I reckon that'll be a nice, lovely way to finish off our catch-up. So, let's roll intro real quick. Here we go! Right. Okay. We are good to go. So, let's get started right away. First song on the docket today, Crush, with Love You With All My Heart from Queen of Tears, show that we have touched on quite a few times on OST Saturday throughout the weeks that we've been doing this year. And we will return to this show later down the episode today. But Queen of Tears has had a pretty immaculate lineup when it comes to artists for their OSTs. And the final product coming out of that has been also extremely terrific. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Also, as someone who doesn't really know Crush all that well, OST Saturdays has been a really interesting way of getting to know that kind of more obscure side of his discography, so to speak. So let's jump in. Here we go. I think I got bit by a mosquito on my hand today. That's annoying.
It's the same day 이렇게 너를 다시 불러보는 잊고 있던 맘들과 이제야
Tasty chords.
나의 미련한 진심들 늦어서 미안해 I wish I could have told you that I was born to love you, to love
Very
you.
prominent rise here. Hold on.
널 향한 심장이 멈춰지지가 않아. Still want you all the time. 아직 내 맘속 한켠의 방에 그리움으로 가득 채워.
There's something layered underneath that's an octave lower. I wonder what it is. Is it vocal or is it an instrument? What a cool guitar part. It's so simple. It's just like singular notes that's been drawn out, but the effect it has is terrific. Also, if it seems like it's quiet in the video, that's because the song is very quiet. I have it maxed on my side and it's still very quiet.
I wish I could have told you that I was made to love.
Sorry, school email.
To love you with all my heart. 망설이다 혼자 삼켰던 말 사랑해. Still want you all the time.
I'm so glad that that release happens exactly when you expect it to happen. That kind of natural back and forth motion, it doesn't impede on that at all. There is a lot going on instrumentally now, but it still feels very open. And we got a bona fide release at the end. Ah ha ha. That's terrific. That's very, very good. It's a song that progresses exactly how it feels it should progress. Nothing's hidden away, nothing's meant to surprise you. The way the song just blooms feels so natural. It feels warm. It feels warm, and I think with a title like Love You With All My Heart, yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit warm. It's supposed to be that kind of romantic, maybe might be the wrong word for it, but that kind of vibe. And it feels very warm and kind of inviting and romantic in a way. And I think that's gorgeous. It's so soft too. And this is one of those songs where there is a bass section in the song, or a bass part in the song. It's just not very prominent in the mix. But it's also one of those songs where the instrumental section, as much as it gets complicated towards like the bridge and the second chorus and final chorus and stuff like that, it doesn't really feel that busy. And because of it, it feels more raw, I think, than it actually is. And what I mean by that is, I always say that when it comes to a good ballad, the most emotionally raw way to sing a ballad or to perform a ballad is one vocalist and one acoustic instrument. And while there's plenty more instruments in the background, and most of them, if not all of them, are electric instruments, it still has that rawness to it that really makes listening to this just satisfying for me. It tingles my ears in the right way, and we are off to a great start with this one. That's terrific. Right. Next up, Mr. Seok Hoon with Still Loving You for Nothing Uncovered, which I believe is also a show that we covered possibly last week. My memory's not the greatest, so if I'm misremembering that, I can only apologize on that front. But Mr. Seok Hoon, I believe he was a judge or a panelist or whatever they're called on boys' planet, I think. In terms of like recent involvements that he's had, he also has like a YouTube show where he like goes around locations and companies and stuff and just like interviews people, talk about like what songs they need to add on a playlist. Like there's two episodes that come to mind. One with Jihyo, with twice as Jihyo, and they went around the JYP offices, and then getting Exterior Heroes Juyeon, and then he's done a smattering of other stuff with other idols and stuff. But listening to him sing, I don't really know what his voice sounds like all that well, so I'm very excited for it. Here we go. Y'all know how much I love a string section. It's not just a string section, it's the full orchestra. Cool that the piano goes unison rhythm there with the vocal. A string swell let in with a little cymbal roll. Oh man. Again, very similar to the Crush song in that the release comes exactly how you're kind of how I'm anticipating it to happen. And yeah, the string, the violinist in me, very happy with where this is going. I do wish we got more classical instruments in this now. Like, I want to go, like, you know, all in on the classical orchestra. Okay, but verse 2, we take it into more of a traditional kind of band vibe. Okay. But we still have the string parts in here as well. It's just not as prominent as in verse 1 anymore, because we have that drum part. This time it was the cymbal roll into the chorus, so we got more of a string run, almost like glissando into that chorus. The band is getting further and further forward now. I hear that guitar in the background. Synthesizer instead of piano. Acoustic instruments. Oh, the instrumental part is doing some funky stuff here. Hold on. Oh, and another bona fide finish. And a long sustain from the wind section. Hell yeah. That's cool. It's a very interestingly kind of composed song in that the song evolves actually quite a lot more than you expect, or at least that I expected. Maybe, have the song go like verse 1 has one type of instrumental, verse 2 has one type of instrumental, and then the bridge and the final chorus has kind of the combination of verse 1 and 2. But as the song progresses, very much verse 1 was more classical, more acoustic oriented. Then we move into more of a band phase for verse 2. Well, once we got into that bridge, it was constantly evolving. It wasn't just like a linear change from one to the next. You had your like band element, you had your acoustic guitar element, you had your string orchestra element, you had your band element again, then you have vocal only, then you swell it back up again. I feel like it's rare for the instrumental to do more movement than the vocal line is doing. And that's really neat. I actually really enjoyed listening to that. The string section, very pretty. But also, the wind section, oh yes. I think in pop music, it's a little bit trickier to add the wind section from like a full orchestra into a song just because it has even more of a unique kind of sonic texture to them that is very kind of picky on how it can be included without it feeling out of place. Like it's a very unique and iconic sound to the point where it's not a very flexible one in the pop world. When it comes to the string section, you can really kind of put it in any slow and soft song and get away with having a string section. Even, stuff that's more upbeat like your disco inspired stuff has string hits. And that's why you hear a lot of whenever we cover music, like especially in the OST Saturday series, whenever we have a classical element, it's usually string only. But the fact that we got a wind section in here as well, highly approve of that. Shout out the composition team one time. And Seok Hoon's voice is kind of exactly what I imagined his singing voice would be. There's some people that I know only as interviewers or like MCs of interview shows and stuff. I mean, Jejung, from yesterday's release, right? Yesterday's block of releases, we had Jejung's new song that dropped. And I only know him as the interviewer on his J-Friends show. And his voice very much surprised me because it was like above and beyond what I expected. With Seok Hoon's voice from the various interviews and stuff he's done, it's exactly how I expected his singing voice to be. And I know we've listened to him sing once or twice before, but yeah, he very much sounds like when he's speaking on his interview programs and stuff, and that's really neat. Cool. This one worries me a little bit because this is from a TV show, like a children's TV show, and these can get notorious for being copyright struck, not blocked, strike. In fact, the one copyright strike I have on the channel is from a group doing a children's song, or a song for a children's show. So I'm hoping this is going to be good. If it gets cut out, I can only apologize. But next up on the docket, we have aespa with their song Get Goin' for, what is it called? Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock, which is apparently like a children's puppet / cartoony show. I'm not really well versed in the context of it, but it's aespa doing an OST, and they've had a really good track record for OSTs, both in individual and in group format. So we're gonna check it out. If this gets cut out in the final edit, I'll explain the whole song after we're done here. So let's get started. Let's get going.
There's a story going around about a hero of history. Well, I guess I better tell you that the hero of the story is me. And if you really want to know what you need to do,
interesting that it's got kind of the crunchy heaviness, but it's very like written in a very bright major key.
But I told you once, and and I don't wanna tell you twice.
Oh, hold on a second. Wait, that beat increase was really clean? What?
You know the world's so full of fakes and fools trying to run your life with a copycat phone. If you got what it takes to grow, you gotta take
Harmonies, hello.
and if you got what it takes, then take what you got and get going.
Not the direction I expected from a kid's show.
So if you wanna get ahead, get a load of what I
Wow.
tell you.
It's almost like an interlude there instead of a bona fide chorus. That's cool.
Don't hang around with all those fools. Come and give a listen to the golden rules. If you got what it takes to grow, you gotta take what you gotta and go. And if you got what it takes, then take what you gotta get going. Oh, so let me tell you about it one more time. If you got what it takes to grow,
Hold on, why is this really good?
and if you got what it takes, then take what you gotta get going. Oh, yeah.
That's saucy with it, Ning. I figured it was gonna. It's short, so it would go by pretty quickly. But I'm gonna cover all my bases here. If this got cut out, hello everybody, it got cut out, unfortunately. I'm gonna give you a quick recap of what this song is like. It's not as like children's show as you'd expect it to be. If you want to listen to the original, there's the link to the original is going to be in the description, so you can find that there. But Get Going starts off at a really interesting place where it's you can sense the hint of that really bright major chord that the song's been written in, but you also get an essence of that aespa kind of digital rough crunch-y type of sound that we know aespa can do at this point. And the song slowly develops. And then all of a sudden, the beat kicks in. And when the beat kicks in, it's actually kind of nice. It's got a really nice and snappy beat. And the song drives forward. We get a lot of vocal harmonies. And I mean, a lot of vocal harmonies in the song. For being a 2-minute song, there's a lot of it. And as a vocal harmony enjoyer, I love stuff like that. And then, kind of, I don't know if it's technically the post-chorus or if it's where the chorus in a typical pop song would be, but it goes into this semantic satiation segment. Human psychology lesson. Don the lab coats. Semantic satiation, in layman's terms, is when a word is repeated in quick succession so often that your brain stops perceiving it as that word and just a collection of consonants and vowels. So, have aespa, I don't think, have really had much semantic satiation in their music, but in the song, there's a section where I think it repeats the word go a lot. Go and hey a lot. So imagine go, 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 go. Imagine it's like 16 goes on the offbeat, all in one little section. By the time you reach like 6 or 7, it just starts sounding like, and it's almost like that vocal line has become vocal percussion rather than a melodic vocal part. And so you have that in the very middle of the song that doesn't feel like a chorus, but it almost feels like an interlude that splits the two halves of the song apart. And once that kind of repetition section is over, we start drip feeding the melodic vocals back in. We start drip feeding the main melody back in. We start adding more of the vocal harmonies back in. And then we get this massive final chorus to finish and to boot. And we get everything back together. And it's quite nice. It's weirdly nice. There's, again, high chances it's cut out. So if you want to listen to it, in the description, I do encourage you to listen to it. I think it's quite charming, and when it's not the type of song you'd expect from kids' cartoon show or a kids' puppet show or whatever the case may be. Nice. All right, and then one final song for the catch-up segments, and we return once again to Queen of Tears, but this time with Mr. Hong Isak. Little bit of Hong Isak once again. I miss Superband, man. That Superband watch-along we did last year was so much fun. But anyways, Hong Isak's Fallin for Queen of Tears. He has a terrific voice, very kind of creamy and mellow voice. It's terrific to listen to. And it's been a hot minute since I've listened to his music, or his voice in general, so let's get into it. Why? There we go. So it looks like apart from the aespa song, we literally just have a ballad block. I mean, I'm not going to complain, I love a ballad. And especially with Hong Isak on it, oh yeah.
너무도 완벽한 너와 그 모든 순간 내겐 가장 빛나던 하루
So soft.
무수히 많았던 지나온 많은 시간 오로지 그 기억엔 너뿐 오직 피어나 내 맘 그대라는 들판
Feel it growing, feel it swelling.
I'm falling 지금 이 순간조차 더 깊이 너에게 떨어져 나 You said me, you told me never going anywhere from me
Each major hit of the song has so much weight to it, just... But it's not heavy, it's like... There's a lot of force behind it, but it doesn't feel like heavy and sluggish.
I'm falling every night and day 뜨겁게 하늘께
Not the biggest change for verse 2.
마음 담아 처음 그 순간처럼 다시 흐릿한 기억 하나 둘
Hello, cello.
조금씩 선명하게
I don't know why I'm doing that. I played it this way.
I'm falling 지금 이 순간조차
Whoa.
깊이 너에게 떨어져 나
The background vocals with the echoing falling was so cool.
You told me never going anywhere.
It's not even a reverb at this point, it's like a delay. That's really cool.
아무것도 아닌 나
There's the flip.
더 못한 내 마음 표현을 앞으로 남은 모든 날 아끼지 않고 너에게 할게
Oh, cool flip down.
I'm falling
Take it down.
I'm falling I hold you in my heart. I'm falling. I'm falling. 다시 한번 너에게
Using the reverbing, like reverberating echo effect on the fallen, so cool. No bona fide final note? Oh, I was kind of hoping for one big just release at the end, but this is Hong Isak in his element. If you watched Superman 1 along with me last year, you'll know exactly where I'm going from. But for those of you who didn't, Hong Isak has a very, I mean, as you can see, a very, very pretty, caramelly smooth voice. and he does so well in the type of kind of slower ballads that feels very natural. Like for me, Fallen feels like a song that isn't written on like musical ledger, but is written in nature, so to speak. It feels like the natural environment created a song like this, where everything there's really no sharp movements. Everything feels like it's been sculpted by the elements of the earth. Whether it's the wind blowing some trees around, or this, springtime and the sun is letting some flowers bloom. Everything is so smooth and yet has such a big, prominent heft to it. And it just sparkles in a way where it's so pretty and feels very naturalistic and natural to me listening to it. I have the clearest mental image of just countryside, rolling hills, springtime, trees are budding, flowers are sprouting, grass is getting green, birds are flying about in the sky, the sun's shining. Yes, I love stuff like this. I love his voice, and he suits the stuff so well. And it's just great to hear his voice again, because he does this type of music so well. Nice. What a solid way to finish the catch-up episodes. Very ballad heavy. I know ballads can be a very divisive genre of music, and so those of you who are expecting a little bit more of a peppier OST Saturday this week, I can only apologize, especially if we had to cut the aespa song out, because then we really just have only ballads and only male vocalist ballads at that. It just happened to be that way. I really just went through the release calendar for March and just, picked and chose all the ones that interested me, put them on a Google Doc, and just kind of crossed off one by one as we, went through all of the OSTs that we needed to do. In fact, I could show you actually the document. Here we go. Like, I had all these and just slowly but surely just put a line through every single one until we finished. And now that we're at this point, apart from the block of OSTs from this past week, we are now caught up with OSTs. Finally made it, Shadow. We finally made it. But that is going to be it from me today with our block of OSTs from the very end of March. Thank you all for listening along with me. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. One last request from me today. Let's work together as a community to bring a little bit of extra happiness back into the world, whether it be checking with your friends and family, holding the door open for somebody, or even picking a piece of trash off the street. Just one small act of kindness that may brighten up someone else's day to day. And know that wherever you are in the world, should you ever be going through a tough time in your life, for whatever reason it may be, even though I'm just some guy on the internet who waffles about music in his free time, know that I will always be a friend, ally, and a shoulder to lean on whenever you need me. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, spread the love, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.